Hello everyone! In this occasion we are going to remember a very important character in literature study, that is Geoffrey Chaucer, who born in circa London, England, in the year of 1357. Chaucer's family was of the burgess class, descended from an affluent family who made their money in the London wine trade. Chaucer is believed to have attended to the St. Paul's Cathedral School, where he probably first became acquainted with the influential writing of Virgil and Ovid. In 1357, Chaucer became a public servant to Countess Elizabeth. By 1368, the King Edward III had made Chaucer one of its squires. In 1377 and 1388, he engaged in yet more diplomatic missions, with the objective of finding a French wife for Richard II and securing military aid in Italy. Busy with his studies, Chaucer had little time to devote to writing poetry, that is, his true passion. In 1385, he petitioned for temporary leave so he can take time now to write. He was a poet of the Middle Age. Chaucer wrote an unfinished work that is very popular, and it's called Canterbury Tales, that is considered one of the greatest poetic works in English. It's because it contains different kinds of genre as romantic, satiric, religious, etc. At the beginning, it has to contain already 120 tales, but at the end he just wrote 25 tales, so the story goes like that. It's about a group of pilgrims who travel. They make because the religion they want to visit a temple. They decide to participate in a contest. While they are walk, Harry Billy is the host of this contest. The legendary 14th century English poet Chaucer died October 25 in the year of 14 in London, England. He died for unknown causes and was 60 years old at that time, and he was buried. Well, perhaps the chief characteristic of Chaucer's works are the variety in subject matter, gender, tone, and style, and in the complex represent concerning the human pursuit of a sensible existence. But just right now, we are going to focus in a single story that is part of the book that he wrote, that is Bat's Wife. According to the story, what Chaucer wants to convey with her is a change in the social situation of a bad woman. This means that the author creates this feminist story in order to show another point of view in women's lifestyle. For this reason, the woman begins to tell story with her rape, and in this way, we can see how women in general were not respected and also were like an object of men. Rape caused the woman to change her mind and establish the woman's desire, mastery of the husband. She tries to convince her gently that what a woman should have in their marriage is dominance over the husband. The subject of mastery is the price to pay for the violation. On the other hand, the first line represents a reference of time King Arthur, in which it is expected that the woman should be respected and represented as a symbol of purity and virginity, as we have seen in one of these tales, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. This is another story of this book. However, In this reading, Chaswas tries to open people's eyes and show the reality of dealing with women, which is the opposite. Well, in conclusion, the lines that show us terrible sexual violence are the beginning of the woman's sexual life experience, and for this reason, she does not see marriage as sacred as seen at that time. In addition, she wants and prefers sex instead of love. All things considered, one could say that what the author is parodying is that a great gentleman from the time of King Arthur of love. All things considered, one could say that what the author is parodying is that a great gentleman from the time of King Arthur does such a horrible act for a woman. So now we're going to see a little representation of this tale, that it's Tale the Wife of Bath. So we are going to continue. Go ahead. Now we are going to make a brief description about the characters of the story. Allison, she is the character in the book who is telling the story. She is stubborn and brave at the same time. She has a hollow tooth. She is a lustful lady. In the story tell us why. She is very sure of herself. Now we have this second character, that is the queen. This character serves justice with composure and intelligence. She represents womankind. She wants justice for all the girls who were involved in a sexual assault. She was against the knight. Character number 3, the knight. He doesn't make a very good first impression, and he is a not very good knight, because knights supposed to protect women. Instead of this, he rapes one. Character number 4, the witch. She is a very powerful woman. She is as Allison's representation. She wants to take the control of the knight, and she did it. As she is a witch, she could be pretty or ugly. Now we have here an extra information about the story. We have Allison's husband number 5. Allison always had the attention of his fourth husband, but the number 5 was centered more in his books, so she doesn't support it and took his book and started to write the pages. This made him husband get angry, so he hit her, leaving her deaf. Now we have another curiosity about this story. It is that Allison represents bad women as something normally. She takes reference of the Bible, but she is there just for tourism. She isn't there for religion. Allison represents Eva in the Bible, the woman who induced the humanity to the sin.
In the old days of King Arthur, there were many fairies throughout the kingdom. The queen of the elves with her courtship that dance currently. They are no longer seen fairies, for the prayers and the overflowing Christian charity of the good friars fill every corner of the country as the dust motes sparkle in a sunbeam, blessing living rooms, chamber, kitchens and bedrooms, cities, towns, castles, towers and villages, barns, farmhouses and stables.
3.
A young single man lives in King Arthur's house. One day, as he is riding from the river, he sees a maiden walking before him. He rapes this maiden despite she cries for mercy, taking her maidenhood. Because of this crime, people raised such as hue and cry of protest before King Arthur. He sentences the knight to be beheaded. This was the law then. The queen and her ladies intervene on the knight's behalf. Arthur grants the queen her request, allowing her to decide the knight's punishment. The queen takes the knight to the castle.
Please, queen, give me a chance.
You can be sure you will keep your life. I will grant your life if you can tell me what woman most desire. If you can tell me what woman most want right now, I give you permission to live for a year to find an answer.
Finally, he decides to travel in search of the answer to the queen's question and return after a year to give it. He says goodbye and begins his journey. He looks in every house, in every land, hoping to find out what thing women love the most. He is not able to find two people anywhere who agree on what the right answer is. Some people say that women love wealth best, others honor, others beauty. Some others say that women love nice clothes, sex, or to often be widowed and remarried. Still, others say that women love to be flattered and pleased, and I admit that this is not far from the truth. A man easily wins a woman with flattery and diligent attendance upon her. In this manner, women can be caught. Others say that women love to be free and do just as we please, and not to be reprimanded of our flaws, but instead told that we are wise. The knight was tired of looking for the queen's answer, and just when he was about to return, the witch appeared.
I'm tired of looking for the queen's answer.
Ha 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 ha! I have the right answer.
You have to promise me that will grant me the expedition if it's in your power. In return, I will tell you what women like the most.
I promise you my troth.
Your life is safe now. I swear to you for my life that the queen will agree with me. Not even the proudest woman will disagree with my opinion.
The hag whispers something in the knight's ear.
Be happy and have no fear.
Women decided to have sovereignty over their husband or lover to be in mastery above him. That is woman's greatest desire.
I beg you mercy for the king. Do one is
Women decided to have sovereignty over their husband or lover to be in mastery above him. That is women's greatest desire.
I beg you mercy for the knight. Juan is right. I told him the right answer, in return for which he swore to grant for me first.
I remember the promise, but I will ask you to choose another request. Take all my possessions, but release my body.
No, I may be old, ugly, and poor, but I am not going to give up the opportunity to be your wife.
You are not my love, by my damnation.
There was no joy at that feast, but heaviness and sorrow. The knight marries the hag privately the next day, and afterward hides from everyone because he's so ashamed about how ugly his wife is.
Does every husband treat his wife this way? Thus is customary in King Arthur's household for a husband to be so standoffish toward his wife?
The knight stayed in silence.
I have never done wrong by you. Why?
Then you are treating me in this way on our wedding night.
You will never be able to fix the problem because you are so ugly, old, and low born. I wish God would break my heart reading my breast.
Is this why you are so unhappy?
Yes.
I could fix this before 3 days have passed. If you would treat me better, you speak about gently, as if it is a result of noble parentage. Believing that anyone who comes from a rich family is therefore a gentleman. This arrogance is worthless. Pay attention to who is the most virtuous, whether in public or private, and always tries to do the most gentle deeds he can. He is the greatest gentleman. Our gently comes from Christ and not from our ancestors or their old money. Those our ancestors give us our heritage, through which we claim to be happy. It's impossible for them to give us a virtuous lifestyle as an inheritance. All this noble lineage, because a man is the desire to be called a gentleman and have his order followed. I could fix this before 3 days have passed. If you would treat me better, you speak about gently, as if it is a result of noble parentage. Believing that anyone who comes from a rich family is therefore a gentleman. This arrogance is worthless. Pay attention to who is the most virtuous, whether in public or private, and always tries to do the most gentle deeds he can. He is the greatest gentleman. Our gently comes from Christ and not from our ancestors or their old money. Those our ancestors give us our heritage, through which we claim to be happy. It's impossible for them to give us a virtuous lifestyle as an inheritance. All this noble lineage, because a man is the desire to be called a gentleman and have his order followed.
The value of person, genealogical tree is rarely inherited because God wants us to honor His gratitude. We can only claim the material things that are achieved anywhere and that are temporary that others can easily destroy. Another reason that gentleness cannot be the result of paternity is this were a natural result of a certain ancestry, because they will never cease to act smoothly in front of many people, or alone they could never commit an injustice. Let the man leave and close the doors. The fire will continue in the same way. It is always faithful to its nature until it gives the last breath of life, because after this we can see that gentleness is not the natural result for each species in the same way that brightness is nature. God knows that it is impossible to find the son of someone who commits bad deeds but values gentleness. The kindness comes from God, therefore it is the result of grace.
The hag continues her response to her husband's complaint. She said,
Remember how noble it was Tullius Hostilius that came out of poverty. Where will you see that night are the ones who do gentle actions? Then, my husband, I conclude that although my ancestors were poor, God could still grant me the grace to live virtuously, and I set aside sin. The poverty of which you speak, Jesus decided to live in poverty, although he could choose to live as someone rich. He would not choose an incorrect way of life. Poverty, even with needs, is an honest way of life, or at the least that says Seneca and others implies. I think that the person who is happy with their poverty is a rich person, even if they have nothing. Poor people are those greedy who want what they don't have, even if they are unnecessary. True poverty rejoins the hearts without condition. Poverty is an odious good, something that lets one to work hard, but also teaches wisdom to those who endure poverty with passion. In poverty, we can know who friends and enemies are. Therefore, you should not reproach me for my poverty.
The hag continues her response to her husband's complaint.
You reproach me for being all white. You said I'm ugly and all. I gave you a choice between two things: to have ugly and all until I die, but never a faithful wife for you, or to have me always young and beautiful, but without good quality. You choose.
I put myself at your disposal, chose the most pleasant option, and grant us the grandest honor to both. No matter what opinion you chose, because what you prefer is enough for me.
Are you delivering, or why do you allow me to waver as I want it?
I think it's the best.
My husband, please kiss me. Don't be unhappy anymore. I promise you to the both. I will be a good and true wife for you. I will die of madness unless it is a good and faithful to you as any wife should be. You can do with your life what you want. Remove the curtain from our bed to see it.